Good morning, guys. My name is Jason. I'm the founder of Distress Loan Advisors. If you want to book time with me, you can visit my website at jasontees.com, or you can just Google me, Jason SBA help, and I'll come right up. There's also a link in the notes below. All right, this is the April 2025 SBA EIDL loan update. I'm going to run through what's happened since my last update for March, and then I'm just going to give you a whole bunch of reminders in case this is the first time you've watched one of my videos about EIDL. So here we go. First and foremost, obviously our government right now is going through a lot of change, not only with the new administration, but with Doge sort of just wandering around and executing staff left and right. Essentially, it's a big wild card here. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know when they're going to do it. We have no idea what their plans are. So anything that I say today obviously is going to be subject to change, more so than it's ever been in the past. So just keep that in mind. First update, the hardship accommodation program is no more as of, I believe it was March 19th. They are no longer accepting applications for the hardship accommodation program, which, if you recall, was 6 months at 10%, another 6 months at 10%, another 6 months at 50%, another 6 months at 75%, followed by another 6 months at 75%. So a lot of people were planning on that. And I've had people tell me, I did my cash flow forecast based on the expectation that I would qualify for that. That is now gone. So that's messing up a lot of people. And I did another video specifically about this and the other option that they're going to offer. If you want to view that video, I'll put a link in the notes below. So in terms of the HAP, that's gone. What they are saying is they will offer 1 6-month deferment at 50%, but there's a lot of caveats to that are going to exclude a lot of you. One, you could have never had a HAP before, so this would have to be your first. You have to be less than 120 days past due. You can't be in charge-off status, but it is possible to get yourself out of charge-off status. You would just have to make the payment, bring a current, and contact them. And then you have to give them, and this is important, a detailed explanation why this is a short-term need and not a long-term need. That's different than the hardship accommodation program, where they pretty much rubber-stamped everything. It appears here they're going to only approve things where this 6 months will allow you to return to regular payments. If they think your business is viable, it appears they're going to turn it down. So that's the update. That's what's new since my March update. And now I'm just going to give you a whole bunch of reminders. Again, if you haven't watched any of these videos, I think it'll be helpful to understand how this stuff is working in general. First and foremost, if you decide to close your business and you want to sell it, you need to structure it as an asset sale as opposed to selling the business as a whole. If you structure it as an asset sale, they'll typically allow you to sell the business assets for less than what you owe on your EIDL loan. Remember, you always have to get permission first. If you try to structure it as a stock sale of the whole business, they will only approve it if you agree to pay the loan off in full. And in many cases, that's not possible, so keep that in mind. 2, understand your personal liability. People do ask me, how come I haven't made videos so they can better understand that? And the answer is there's so much nuance there. Any video that I would make wouldn't include everyone, and I feel like it would just confuse people. So for that, unfortunately, all I would say is, schedule some time, and if I can understand the specific circumstances of your situation, I could probably point you in the right direction at that point. But just be aware that not everybody has personal liability, and it does make a big difference. Beyond that, understanding the SBA's collection process, what they currently are doing, what they're not. The SBA is not suing your run-of-the-mill default. The people that I'm aware of being sued are the ones that committed fraud. They're being pursued criminally too, so a lot of them are going to jail. But if you just had a mom and pop shop and it closed, I have not seen any of those people get sued, which means they're not seeking judgments against the business. They're not seeking judgments against individuals. What they likely are going to do is, if you don't pay them, you'll be referred to the Treasury, or you'll just be placed in the Treasury offset program while still being serviced by the SBA. Essentially, what the Treasury offset means is, primarily for most people, it would be wage garnishment of 15%. It would be Social Security garnishment of 15%, and they can take 100% of your tax refund. and apply it to your loan balance. There are some other circumstances where they could take money, essentially any government payment. So if you're a government contractor, or even a physician that collected, say, Medicare, Medicaid payments, and you were supposed to be reimbursed by the government, they will take those as well. From a credit standpoint, if you have a personal guarantee, they could report it to your credit, but it's been a really long time since anyone said that they saw it on their credit. So for now anyway, much like the lawsuits, they could report it to credit, but they're choosing not to. And again, much like the lawsuits where they could sue people, but they're choosing not to. I'm guessing that's more of a logistical thing where, they've got millions of loans in all 50 states, and that's a lot to coordinate. General one, a lot of people have come to me when they've made a request to the SBA and they're like, I never heard back, or they sent me this form and it doesn't make sense. It happens. I think the people at the SBA, they're not super well trained. A lot of them really don't know what they're doing. And so they generally have a flow chart. So if if a borrower asks for A, they send them B. And in many cases, they don't really even understand what they're asking for. So if you make a request to them and you don't hear back, you got to follow up either by email or through the portal or a phone call. You got to be the squeaky wheel. That's just how it goes. And if you make a request and they ask you to fill out a form that doesn't quite make sense, you might have to push back. I had somebody this week who said he was creating a new entity solely for tax purposes, and they sent him a form about change in ownership, and he wasn't looking for a change in ownership. And I just advised him, you got to go back and explain to them again, because anytime they get a request that they are not familiar with, I think they just, sort of throw a dart and hope that they're sending you the right thing. But in many cases, they're wrong. I'll reiterate again, don't sell your business assets without permission. If you did, the best thing you can do is contact them, let them know, and give them evidence of what you sold it for and remit the money back to them. If you went and sold the stuff without their permission, that's bad. You will compound that by holding on to the money, or even worse, using the money to pay off other creditors or to pay your own personal bills. They will consider that to be a fraudulent conveyance and refer it to the Inspector General. Offer and compromise. So much confusion on this. For a long time, they just were saying no. At some point, if you specifically say the words offer and compromise, they advise their employees to send you the forms. To my knowledge, they have rejected every single one of them, which is ridiculous because it's really giving people false hope. So just keep in mind that as of today is April, what's today, Julie? I'm asking my daughter. So today is April 4th, 2025. I am not aware of a single offer and compromise that has been approved for an SBA EIDL loan. So keep that in mind. You can certainly fill out the forms, make it a throw it against the wall, see if it sticks sort of thing. And if you get one approved, please let me know. But as of now, I'm not approved of any that have been, I'm not aware of any that have been approved. So the OIC at this point is basically a mirage. It's lip service. There's nothing to it. And finally, bankruptcy. Everybody's talking about bankruptcy. Look, there's certainly circumstances where bankruptcy absolutely makes sense, but my view is just make an informed decision. If that means talking to somebody like me and talking to a bankruptcy attorney and understanding all of the implications of filing for bankruptcy versus not, I think that's fine. Just make an informed decision, because I think a lot of people are rushing into bankruptcy assuming that the SBA is going to sue them. People are, they're making false assumptions like the SBA is going to come after my house, where the overwhelming majority, like 99% of loans, you did not pledge your house as collateral. And because they're not suing people, highly unlikely they would ever come after your home. And so, again, just make informed decisions. Don't make decisions out of panic, because, once you go through the bankruptcy, it will be on your credit. And it would be really terrible if you look back and said, oh my God, I didn't actually need to file for bankruptcy. So I'm not a bankruptcy attorney. I don't give bankruptcy advice. But what I do know is it doesn't make sense for every person in every situation. And I don't think I'm going out on a limb by saying that. Whew, that's it. All right, 9.5 minutes. I know I talked fast, but that's the update for April 2025. Thank you for checking in. I really appreciate you guys. Every week I talk to people, and people tell me that they follow me and they rely on me for information, and I very much appreciate that. And for those of you who have booked consultations with me, obviously that's how I make my living. And so I appreciate every single one of you that reaches out and schedules time with me. It means a lot to me and everyone that I talk to. like I said, appreciates the updates, and 99% of people are glad that they talk to me. So thank you. I'm glad I can offer value, and I'll continue to do that as long as you guys find my information to be useful. All right. Thanks for checking in. We'll see you on the next one.